So we saw two components in Go.Data configurability: reference data and location data. The third part is related to flexible questionnaire builders, which are organized in a form of templates, which you can then use to start your Outbreak. So let's see a couple of templates which exist in Go.Data. Templates are organized in Outbreaks menu, where we have two sub-menu items. One is called Outbreaks, and the second one is called Templates. Templates are part of default Go.Data installation and help users to quickly create their outbreaks. In order to minimize the time which is required to set up one outbreak, Go.Data project team has developed a couple of templates which are accessible to Go.Data users and can be used to create new outbreak. So let's see some of the examples which we have for the purpose of this training. We are going to look at Ebola and Marburg virus disease. As a reminder, consistent behavior, we are going to move mouse over the item and click on View. In this template, we provide some of the key information that we want to use when we create the outbreak. We will define how many days we want to follow up contacts, what is the follow-up frequency for the day, and in addition we can also identify some of the indicators which are going to be used to generate information on the dashboard. Going from one of the Go.Data design principles that it is not designed for a specific country and it's not designed for a specific disease, it was important that we come as a project team with a number of templates that we can then use to create outbreaks and have flexibility in what variables we want to collect. In addition to key information within the template, each template contains also information about the case form, the contact follow-up form, and lab form. Let's look at the example of the case form. In case form, we can add any additional variables which are required for outbreak investigation and which are not part of the default minimum core dataset. The variables that are accessible belong to the types of single select, which is a typical yes, no, do not know question. Multiple select, where users will have the possibility to choose more than one option. A free text, numeric value, date and time value, even a file upload. So if there is any information in a shape, some kind of an electronic file, you can use upload field to upload any information which already exists in another external file. In addition, in Go.Data we also have a markup field which is used to provide additional information for a specific section of the questionnaire, where you can provide information to users on how to complete that part of the questionnaire. So let's look at some of the questions that we have here. Let's start from the first case reported by, and let's edit. So this is a single answer question where a user can choose one of the four options which are listed here. And as we can see here, questions flag is yes, and that is another feature of Go.Data where we can place nested question underneath other questions, and this way remove a lot of variables by default from the form and keep it simpler for completion. So if we click on the second cog icon here, we can see that if answer to case reported by is mobile team, then another question will appear underneath where user will have to specify mobile team number. Variables in a template can also be marked to be required. They can also be inactivated if there is no longer need to store values for that variable. Once you have created your template or amended the existing template, you can use the template to create an outbreak. That feature is available from the list by clicking on the icon with a little plus, and you will be able to use the template as it is and create a brand new outbreak from it. We're going to see a few outbreaks and how are they organized. we will go to Outbreaks menu. And when we choose Outbreaks, we will end up on the outbreak list. We can resort to usage of the filter, the quick filter, and find one outbreak and have more details about it. In the beginning of this briefing, we have mentioned that one instance of Go.Data can be used to host as many outbreaks as necessary. That said, you can have plenty of outbreaks in one instance of Go.Data, but only one can be active at a time. Setting up an active outbreak is done at the user level, so a group of users can still continue working off one instance of Go.Data, and they can decide to work at different outbreaks at the same time. The flag of being an active outbreak is really a system-driven flag, and basically it is used to identify where is user adding cases and contacts and which outbreak are they working currently with. They can quickly switch to other outbreaks and make them active, so they can still manage multiple outbreaks at the same time. Let's look at one outbreak and how is it structured. Unlike a template, which is generic, outbreak is specific. So it will also have a name. Indicating which disease is it and where is it happening is optional. Because one instance of Go.Data can host multiple locations, when we create the outbreak, we can also narrow which locations are being affected by this outbreak. That will remove a lot of unnecessary locations from the user interface and make data input faster. The second mandatory field in the first block is start date of the outbreak. And the rest of the block, the second block, is pretty much the same as it was in the underlying template, but that said, you can change it and amend values to better match the situation with a current outbreak. In addition, you can also define structure of the case ID and the contact ID. You can use different options to automatically generate case ID and contact ID. What we see here will generate case ID, which is based on word case. 4 letters Y will be used to indicate the year of reporting of the case and use that within the case ID. And 4 numbers 9 will generate 4-digit auto sequence number. The sequence number, if we have an outbreak which is spanning over more than 1 year, so the ID will reset when the year changes. So let's say that we had an ID case 2019 000010, and then when the year changes and we go to case 2020, it will start again from number 1. The same concept applies for creation of the contact ID mask. Another feature of Go.Data are control tips. These are also managed through the language file because in each field there is a description field, and if you provide additional information in the description field, you can provide instructions to the end user on how to complete specific field. Let's look at the case form within this outbreak. The approach is exactly the same as the approach that we use for template. The questions are organized in the same way. We can move questions to different position by using up and down arrow, or by using ellipsis menu and specifying the number where we want to move one question. It's also possible to collect information for one variable multiple times during outbreak investigation. You will notice that under multi-answer we have flagged some of the variables with yes, and that means that those variables we can collect multiple times during outbreak investigation. We can collect them at different days or multiple times during the day. So here, just for the purpose of the training, we have flagged few symptoms as multi-answer options, which means that each one of them we can collect on different days. If we create case investigation form, you can also change it as you go through the outbreak. If there is no need to collect one variable any longer, then you can simply inactivate it. And that is the reason why question number 1 in our case investigation form appears grayed out. The advantage is that any historical data which has been collected up until point in time will remain as it is, and from that point onwards, the new case investigation form will apply. That said, not only that you can inactivate and remove some of the old variables, you can also add new ones and change your case investigation form as required during Outbreak investigation form. When you create one question or one variable, you also have features to clone it. And this is a very useful way if you have a typical yes, no, do not know variable. By using clone feature, you can simply create another question which has exactly the same structure, only change the label, and if there is a need to add 20 symptoms, that can be done really fast. Management of Outbreak and case investigation form is done by user who belongs to the Go.Data administrator role. So ability to change case investigation form, add new variables, and remove existing variables can only be done by users who have Go.Data administrator role in the system. The same approach which is being used to create case investigation form is used to create contact follow-up form. The only difference here is that contact follow-up form will be collected, data with contact follow-up form are collected multiple times during the investigation. So these are typically questions which are being asked to contacts each time when contact tracing team does contact follow-up. Depending on how we set up our Outbreak, is contact follow-up done once or multiple times during the day, the contact follow-up form will be replicated as many times as necessary as created in the Outbreak setting here under follow-up frequency per day. Going back to the introduction section that we had earlier, so Go.Data does collect case data, contact data, and lab data, and for all of these we do have minimum data set, but if there is a need to capture additional variable, including lab, then users can extend that data set by using lab form, and the approach is again the same. You can add a question, you can add a variable in the same way as you did when you created your case investigation form, your contact follow-up form. So we have covered reference data, we had a brief look at the templates, and we also looked at outbreaks, including case investigation form, contact follow-up form, and the lab form.